Welcome back. Breaking news. A car chase continues. This is in the Dallas area. If you're just joining us, we're keeping an eye on that red SUV. You believe it's this Ford Expedition. Here's what we know right now. That authorities, just shortly before noon Eastern time, were about ready to serve a warrant. The driver is an aggravated assault suspect, about ready to be served a warrant on that. And that is when this driver, suspect, was not having any part of that, and the chase ensued. Now, we've seen a second person. We believe a person in the passenger seat is female. There could be more people in the car. We do not know. Another thing that makes this very volatile is that this person could be armed. Now, here's what we know as well. At least 3, maybe 4 vehicles are following, and we believe they're heading south toward the downtown Dallas area, which could mean more congestion, make it a little more dicey for authorities as they continue to monitor this. My colleague Christy Paul's with me, also with us, former police detective Steve Kardian. Steve, let's get you in on this. As we watch this, you hear all those factors. I mean, this could be volatile, right? When you're talking about an aggravated assault suspect and could be armed, man, you've got to be extra careful here.
Yeah, Mike, they have to be extremely careful. When you add in that aggravating factor at the assault, that means it was something in addition, possibly with a weapon, and it was likely very violent. So they need the manpower to be able to set up a nice felony stop on this car. They want to stop the car before it gets into any type of a congested area that leads more likely that other people could get involved and could get hurt. So I'm seeing now that there are a number of other police cars. The radio travels at a very fast pace, so they have officers ahead of this pursuit already setting up for the potential of either laying out some strips or the potential of using the pit maneuver, but they're not going to let this guy get away.
Steve, how do you keep everybody safe who may be on this road and may not know what's headed their way?
Well, the officers are in close proximity, and they're monitoring this very closely. Need be, if they have to, they will react and respond very quickly, again, by either using the pit maneuver or if they get somebody in place to be able to use the strips. But while the car is moving, he's a danger to anybody on that highway. But when he stops, and if he is armed, they have a critical additional aggravating factor that there could be a gunfight.
Hey, Christy Paul here. Can I ask you something here real quickly? We're watching this play out on a freeway, obviously, but we know that some of these car chases, eventually they may exit and try to get into a residential area. So when we're talking about a freeway, what are your particular challenges there as opposed to, say, a residential street?
Well, on the freeway and off the freeway, you've got a 3,500-pound weapon that he's utilizing. On the freeway, they have more control in the sense that there would be less pedestrians involved. Once they exit and they go into a populated area, you're going to have people out and about on the street. You're going to have more congested traffic and more the likelihood that there would be injuries or involving other people. And if they're going to take him down and he is armed, they're going to want to do it in the controlled fashion of a highway. They can even use police officers behind them when they're ready to do the stop to slow all traffic in the same direction that they're going. They can essentially shut down the highway. We've done that before, and it works very well.
So, Steve, is it possible that probably radio stations are broadcasting this right now for folks that are currently on the road?
It's possible. It's possible that many radio stations will broadcast that there is on a specific highway that there is a police pursuit involved, and avoid them to use alternative routes, if you will.
And when you've got more than one person in the car, and we don't know, do we, Mike? We don't know whether this person is in cahoots with the person in the car.
Do not know.
Or if this is somebody who may be taken hostage, although they look pretty calm.
Let me get you. Here's the fresh info that we're having. I'm quoting here a source from Dallas Police saying they are traveling eastbound on I-30. There's a woman in the car with him. Don't know her relation. Do not know if there is a child in the vehicle. Again, we don't know. There could be more people in the car as well. So that's what we have here, and that's
there he
another
goes.
factor, right, Steve?
Mike, he's getting on an exit. He's getting off at an exit here. So when he's getting off on an exit, Steve, what is the concern here, and how many people may be, or how many authorities may be near this exit ready for this?
Well, many agencies, they have what they call a hotline system. So they can communicate with other police agencies as they travel through the jurisdictions. And hopefully they're going to have police officers, and we'll see in a very short period of time if they'll have police officers set up. It appears that they didn't have them set up on this particular exit, but you can guarantee that there's police officers from that jurisdiction that are now traveling in the direction of this vehicle.
Mike, did you see?
Yeah, we're in Garland, Texas. Just made an exit, as you saw, off the freeway. Steve, what are the positives and negatives here of now being off the freeway as you try and bring this thing to an end?
They do have the potential, depending upon where he ends up, that they may be able to box him in if he makes a wrong turn. If he's familiar, if he's not, I should say rather, if he's not familiar with this area, it's likely he's going to take himself in where they now will be able to box him in. You see the two police cars that are behind him. They won't let any oncoming traffic get beyond those police cars. So that direction, that route that they're on right now is relatively safe. So
Steve,
hopefully they go ahead.
Typically, don't car chases end up, doesn't the person in the car that they're chasing, don't they typically end up in places that they are familiar with? Don't they drive somewhere, usually, where they know they're going?
They do, but we also see times that they don't. When they get off in unfamiliar territory, it's to the police's, the law enforcement's advantage. But they will try, but he was on that routeway, and we don't know if he is familiar to this area, and this chase has been going on for some time.
Yeah, as we look at that, you know, the dangerous part here is we all kind of hold our breath when it gets in congested areas as we see what look like 5 police vehicles following behind. You know, they might be walking here. There could be just congested areas where someone's waiting for a red light, and that's where things could really get dicey for someone who has no idea what's coming their way, right, Steve?
Yeah, and the aggravating factor, Mike, is that we don't know. He's obviously desperate. We don't know how desperate he is to get away from police. And desperate people do really crazy things. As we see, he's entering the intersection here, and the traffic appears to become more congested, and this is problematic for law enforcement right now.
All right, we're just getting new information now. Stephen, we'll bounce it off of you. WFAA reporting that the person in the vehicle with the suspect is the suspect's girlfriend. So again, I mean, cahoots, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that she's there willingly.
Yeah, that's a good point as well.
Doesn't mean she's there willingly.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that she's in the car willingly. It also could mean it's a Bonnie and Clyde type thing, we don't know that she's wanted, we don't know that she's armed, and we don't know how she's going to react when law enforcement finally does the takedown. All
right, hot pursuit continues in the Dallas area. We are all over it. An aggravated assault suspect served a warrant, at least they were trying to. That's when the chase began. We'll continue to monitor for you and have more after a break. Welcome back to HLN. Our continuing coverage. This is a car chase going on in the Dallas area. We're keeping an eye on that red SUV, Ford Expedition. We believe now we're finding out this is a possible armed robbery suspect. Authorities trying to serve an arrest warrant just after noon local time, and that's when the chase began. We know there are 2 people in the vehicle. We believe that we have the suspect driving and then his girlfriend next to him. And we're on westbound Highway 80 now, by the way. My colleague Christy Paul is with me as well, pointed out we don't know if this girlfriend or person with him is there willingly or not as the information continues to come into us. Steve Kardian's with us as well, former police detective, helping us monitor this and also getting into the mind of law enforcement as we watch the pictures and kind of look ahead as to what plan might unfold here as you see 4 or 5 vehicles following behind. Steve, you get this intel, which is so important as to what you're dealing with or who you're dealing with. What do you think's going on in the mind of law enforcement right now?
Well, they're very vigilant, but they're likely operating very calmly. They're digesting the information that's available. They're waiting for their moment. They're not going to rush this. If they rush it, potentially we could see someone get hurt, including civilians and the police officers. So they're going to follow him until they have a good plan in place that they know is going to be a high percentage execution. What
would you mean by rush it? What would tell you, hey, man, they rushed it here?
Well, they're here. They could surround this car and perform a pit maneuver. If he's armed, we have the worry that he may be firing outside of the vehicle. So they're going to wait. They're going to digest all the information. They're going to wait for an opportune time where any type of injury or the potential for injury is minimized. We can't eliminate it, but we can minimize it.
Mike, we've learned that he's on westbound I-30 now, headed toward downtown. He's in Mesquite. And look at, do you see his arm coming out of the side of the window there? I've seen him do that a couple of times. Steve, it seems like he's trying to say something by that gesture. What do you read into that?
Well, it's hard to read into that. Is he showing that hand out there that he's not armed, or is he antagonizing officers? It symbolizes something, but law enforcement is likely won't understand what it means until after they get him.
Okay, all the patrol cars, we're getting told per WFAA, all the patrol cars have pulled back, and SWAT teams now getting ready for this, and whatever it is going to be. Again, he got back on the highway. He's westbound on I-30, headed toward downtown. He's been gesturing at the side of the window, but we can't really tell what the gestures are. We just see his hand coming out there, Mike.
No, absolutely, and we're wondering what is the situation with the persons with him. We hear it's his girlfriend. We're going to continue to monitor this. A car chase in the Dallas area. More coming up. Welcome back to HLN and our continuing coverage. We have a car chase that's been going on a while now. This is the Dallas area. We're keeping an eye on that red SUV, and you see the vehicles following close behind, but not too close, because we could have a very volatile situation here. The person driving, we believe is an armed robbery suspect, was being served a warrant, and that is when this chase began. We believe his girlfriend is next to him. We do not know if the girlfriend's there willingly or not, so it's tough to say and put into context all this information. We're just getting the facts, letting you know the facts as we continue to watch this. My colleague Christy Paul's with me, along with former police detective Steve Kardian. And we're hearing, Steve, that the patrol cars have backed off. It's now SWAT vehicles following. What does that mean to this chase?
That means that they likely know that he absolutely is armed, that he is likely willing to use that weapon. With SWAT in place, they will not fire at the car while it's moving. They're going to wait until they can effect a stop in a variety of different ways, and then the SWAT team will set up on that car. And unfortunately, the minute they see a weapon come out, if there is one, it's going to be all over for them.
Okay, as you see this, what is the plan right now? You've got to be patient, right? Especially with all the factors that we know at this point.
This is like a chess game, Mike. They do have to be patient. They've got to make sure that they have everything in place in order to minimize the injury, and that's what we're worried about. That's the biggest problem with a pursuit, especially a pursuit involving an armed and dangerous felon. We know that they're desperate. We know that desperate people do crazy, crazy things, and law enforcement has to take every precaution.
Steve, we're getting brand new information, and this is chilling. A child in the vehicle. Local affiliates reporting a child in the vehicle as well. I'm sure that's about the last thing you want to hear if you're law enforcement.
It is, and that may be the reason they brought in SWAT. If there is going to be a gun battle, they want their best people up front. And in the event that there is gunfire, they're going to want to be able to take him out with one shot.
Steve, one more thing real quick, and Chris, I'll get you back in. But right from WFAA, the affiliate there, saying that the driver appeared to toss the phone out of the window. Could that mean, Steve, an end to negotiations?
Likely it could. If they are speaking to him on the phone and he's gotten rid of the phone, he's probably already communicated to him what his intentions are. And now they know what he is going to and what he is capable of doing.
Mike, this has been going on for over an hour. So when you talk about a child in the car, you have to, we don't know how old that child is, but you have to wonder what's going on inside that car with the girlfriend. If she is not in there willingly, that child's probably scared to death. Steve, Mike, do you see that vehicle? Okay, the reports are only on the fact that there's, as we said, a child in the vehicle. But you can see how many of these SWAT team SUVs are following this guy now. And it's such a delicate situation when you have somebody else in that vehicle. And if he's tossing a phone out, basically telling them, I'm not talking to you anymore, that really puts them in a tough position, Mike, because they just have no idea. They've lost communication now, and they had it at one time, they hope. Okay, we're finding out speeds 75 to 100 miles an hour. Look at all of the law enforcement, and we'd focused in there for a moment on what looks to be, gosh, almost an armored car, so to speak. I mean, it's tough to, we're going to continue to follow this vehicle, other SWAT cars following, a police car chase in the Dallas area continues. Keep it right here on HLN.
Welcome back. You're watching HLN and our continuing coverage. It's a car chase in the Dallas area. We are in front of City Hall here in Dallas, and we have slowed to a crawl. We're keeping an eye on that red SUV, followed by so many. These are SWAT vehicles. There was a tactical vehicle as well that we saw just moments ago. So things at a slower pace now. Now things are picking up as we continue to follow this, moving to the side of the vehicle. Almost looked like they were close enough to try a pit maneuver. Steve Kardian's with us, former police detective. Steve, how do you approach this here? It's slow. We're close to the car. Is it time to make a move?
It would be time to make a move now. The reason they haven't done the pit maneuver or they're throwing out the strips is because of that child in the vehicle. I would hope that they'll be able to box him in here. He is traveling at a slow rate of speed. Now would be the time to make their move, but they're the ones that have the intelligence. And we're outside on the view, so yeah. They're the ones with the main intelligence.
Absolutely, and we've lost our picture here, so to speak. They've gone behind a building. That gives us a chance to update you on what we know. This has gone on for about an hour, and it was about an hour ago that authorities tried to serve a warrant for the arrest of the guy driving, we believed, armed robbery suspect. Didn't like that, so he took off. We believe that his girlfriend is with him, and also a baby or a child is in the car as well. So a very volatile situation here, Christine. I'm sure, as Steve has pointed out, that's why you've got to be so careful always, but especially here, and the suspect armed as well.
Right, because now, Mike, you're off the highway. You're in a residential area, a more congested area, and we've seen chases like this where when they get into a situation like this and they are desperate enough, they will blow through stoplights. They will blow through stop signs, which puts everybody on the road at that point at risk. Okay?
All right,
there he's down.
All right, looks like, Steve, tell us what's going on. It looks like the suspect has given up.
Looks like he might have just thrown the
He stopped.
gun.
He's thrown out. He's adhering to their demands. He's thrown what appears to be, it could be a weapon. We don't know. And officers are going to make him fully into a felony stop. They're going to have a couple guys approach him while officers maintain cover on him with their weapons. And this is a good felony stop right here we're seeing, Mike.
Yeah, we always hope and pray that this is the way it ends, without incident, no innocent bystanders hurt. It seems that's the case. We're still waiting to see if the girlfriend or a child comes out of the vehicle. Hopefully they'll keep the cameras trained on that car just so we can see who was with this suspect, how many people, child or not, as there we get a closer look at the suspect. And thankfully this ends with an arrest and ends without incident. So again, Steve Kardian, good work, huh?
Yeah, very good work. And, you know, Mike, we don't know. The police officer being as cautious as they were, was this a potential hostage situation? Was he threatening to harm either the girlfriend or the child?
Yeah, excellent point. And that's what we were all wondering. I think Christy was first to bring that up. Yeah, girlfriend with him, but she wanted to be there.
Time, nice felony stop, went down textbook. Great job by Dallas PD.
Yeah. Steve, so now what as you move forward with law enforcement? I mean, you got to go over that red SUV with a fine-tooth comb, right?
They're going to go over the car with a fine-tooth comb. The originating agency will take him into custody, and there'll be additional charges to any township, county, or city that he traveled through.
Okay, if you're just joining us, what we're seeing here, this is the end of a car chase in the Dallas area, a very volatile situation. And it began as authorities tried to serve a warrant. We believe it's an armed robbery suspect. He wasn't having that, so the chase began, and it was a wild, fast, volatile chase. We believe this armed robbery suspect was armed, girlfriend in the vehicle, and potentially a child in the car as well. So that's why we are so thankful this came to an end, especially, Christy, we talk about a child going through something like this.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve Kardian, let's talk about the ending of this and as it went into city streets. Do you welcome that as law enforcement just because you know the speeds are going to slow down and may give you a chance to make a move to end it?
In this situation, it was welcome because of the fact that there obviously was a child in the car. So, yeah, the takedown goes a little bit slower. We add in a more concerning dynamic with, you see how many people are converging in this area and how many people were out and about. That's the main concern. Those people that are out and about on the sidewalks, going through those intersections, and it creates a high level of danger.
Steve, let me ask you something. As we watch this confluence of people around this car, well, they're shutting the doors, so we can't help but be perplexed and wonder what's inside of it. I mean, we know that I guess it would be interesting for folks on the street to take a look at, but it's just an SUV at the end of the day. It looks like they're shutting all the doors, so maybe there's nobody else in there.
If there was any potential danger to the public, they wouldn't allow those people to congregate. So they in essence, have deemed that vehicle safe. There may, however, be evidence. There may be a weapon in there. It would be photographed before it was secured and taken into custody. But right now, it's a safe scene.
Steve, I mean, how well trained does law enforcement have to be nowadays? We see a lot of these type of chases. We've seen them in Southern California, seen them in Texas and elsewhere.
Yeah, law enforcement goes through initial rigorous training for high-speed and highway pursuit training. We're taught the pit maneuver. We're taught how to use the strips. We're taught how to stay calm and let time be a factor in a decision that we're making. We also know that radio travels at the speed of sound, and we can communicate with another jurisdiction miles away to set something in place 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 3 minutes before we get there.
All right, Steve, thanks again. Is this